It's just not going to cut the mustard. Let's see if we can fix this.
Morning peeps, it's Greendot 319. Now, I'm not entirely sure how to tell you this, but I've discovered a huge problem which will have affected thousands of Jeeps and thousands of people over perhaps the past 60 years. It's a massive issue which no one seems to notice, and I can't believe I have been the first person to solve this problem. And today, the solution I'm going to give you is going to possibly revolutionise the way you use this Jeep. So then, oh wise one, tell us what this incredible problem is which will have cost countless people, countless thousands of hours, thousands of dollars, and maybe even their relationships with their family. Well, it's about carburetors. Now hold on. I know you guys love carburetors. I know you love me talking about carburetors, but bear with me because this isn't just about carburetors. It's about a bigger problem. If you read online about the Solex carburetor, you'll see there are loads and loads of posts for people saying, this thing is amazing. It sorts my Jeep right out. Much better than the car to carburetor, works fantastically, never had a problem with it. But then you'll also see about 50% of the posts say, I can't get this thing to work. It's rubbish. No one seems to know what the issue is. And if you look through all these posts, you'll see loads of people say, you don't want one of these more modern ones, you need one of the older ones, you need one of the older ones, and that seems to be the cure for the problem. No explanation of what the problem is. Quick European history lesson, what have we got? These are all Solex carburetors. What is a Solex carburetor? When we talk about it, people just say the Solex. Well, what is a Solex? It's the 32 PBIC is what we're talking about. Some of you will have watched a video before where I talked about the 32 AIC, which is a wartime Solex carburetor. I have it currently fitted in my Jeep and it runs in my Jeep at the moment. But after the war, the French wanted to continue using Jeeps and they used them up to the mid-1990s. They decided to move away from the Carter and they got Solex to produce them a carburetor, or Solex offered a carburetor to them, the 32 PBIC. PBIC was used on all sorts of different vehicles, not just the Jeep. So when we talk about Solex 32 PBIC, it's not like the Carter where the Carter specific, the 539S is specific to the Jeep. These could be used on all sorts of vehicles, so you have to be very careful when you're dealing with them. These are all different ages of 32 PBIC. So the French wanted to continue producing them. They used their M201s, their Jeeps and their M201s up to the mid-1990s, so they had to carry on producing these. But the Solex company, like a lot of companies, has been through turmoil. It's been sold, it's been bought, it's moved its production abroad. So we start with this super early 1946 32 PBIC, one of the first Jeep post-war carburetors. It says made in France on the top of it. That's an indigenous French-produced carburetor. The 60s come along and we've got this sort of carburetor. It's got plating on it, slightly different, still says Solex on it, still produced in France. Now at some point, I'm not sure when, I think it's the 80s, because I can't find the information for this, but I think the French Solex was bought and sold and it moved its production to India and we get the Indian-made Solex. Now, these are still Solex carburetors, they don't have the branding on them. We believe, or at the moment, I don't have the information to refute this, but I believe these were used by the French Army because I've got this one from someone who said they got it in the 90s, ex-French Army stock in a box and what have you. And at the end here, just for completeness, this is the modern Chinese copy. Okay, what's the most important part of a carburetor? Answer, accelerator pump. Without the accelerator pump working properly, your carburetor will not work properly either. All the accelerator pump is, when you smack down your accelerator lever, the throttle underneath suddenly opens. When that happens, there's a bit of a lag before these jets where all the fuel is drawn out of can start sucking fuel out of. So to make up for that, when that would happen, there would be a lack of fuel. So your engine would bog down, it would go, and it wouldn't give you the power you're looking for. So what we do is we have an accelerator pump. Now, the 32 PBIC on the World War II Jeep has a super simple accelerator pump. Here it is. As you can see, it's got a linkage, connects to the throttle. When you move the throttle, it moves this arm outwards. And if we look in here, we can see the arm goes out, it pushes a membrane. Fuel has been sucked in through this one-way valve here, goes into this chamber here. When this arm comes out, pushes this membrane in, which dislodges, the pressure dislodges this little disc, fuel flows up, out, and what it does is it comes up through a drilling, through a little jet there, which controls the amount which comes out because you don't want too much coming out, through here, and it blows it straight into the carburetor throat and it gives power to your engine. Super simple. It has to have a one-way valve here to let fuel in, and it has to have a one-way valve in here to stop fuel flowing back down. Without these, you're going to have problems. Now, let's look what happens when we try to use the accelerator pump on this. This carburetor was built using this data sheet here. All the jets were put in where this data sheet says they should be, and it was all put back together. Now, the accelerator pump, we should see this little pipe here, we should see a strong continuous jet of fuel coming out of there. We don't want to just see a couple of drips or a little bit. It should last about 3 seconds when I open the accelerator. So let's do it. Well, if we waggle it quicker, we can make more come out, but that ain't nothing to write home about. This hole here, this is the hole where the fuel is sucked into the accelerator pump out of the bowl. Can you see there's something, it's blowing more into the bowl than it is out of this tube where it should be blowing in here. So as much as is coming out of here is going back into the bowl. Well, that's not how I don't need to tell you, that's not how a pump works. You don't pump it the wrong way, you want it to pump one way. What the hell is going on here? This is being built according to this diagram, all put back together exactly as the diagram says. This is as far as I could tell, this was an untouched carburetor from the French. Something is seriously wrong here. Let's look into it.
Right then, let's do a little bit of reversing and see how it goes. Okay, did you see the sort of sluggishness just there? It went, and it didn't quite pull away. Obviously it's fine, it's still moving, but it's just causing a little bit of problem there, and that's just on our first little test there. Now some of you might be like, well Matt, it's absolutely fine, I don't see what you're talking about. Trust me. See? It needs that accelerator pump. When that first load is on the engine, when you're just cracking that throttle open, that's when it needs that fuel. When it's got a bit of power and it's moving and the main jet's working, no problems whatsoever. But that first little bit, and that's the bit when you're trying to escape from somebody, Panther just comes around the corner and you want to escape, you jab that throttle and it doesn't pull you away. Let's try it a bit more. So you give it some beans, it's fine. Now, let's go up here. Yeah, it's just not going to cut the mustard. Let's see if we can fix this.
So peeps, in just 30 seconds of driving there, not even doing anything, you could see there was some sort of issue. Now the question is then, Clever Clogs, what's going on? Let's look at this sheet here. This is the Solex sheet. This is the one which has all the details of the jets and things on it. Let's look at number 35. What does it say there? 35, let's look down the side here. Pump economy jet, pump economy jet. And then up here it says 110, pump economy jet. Well, a pump economy jet, that's not supposed to be a pump economy jet, but the Solex manual, the Solex sheet printed by Solex says pump economy jet on it. And what do we find in our carburetor? We found a 110 pump economy jet there. Now, something is seriously off here because we need that one-way valve. If we go back to the earlier stuff, let's look at some of these earlier sheets here. Let's have a look. They all name this as C1 clapet de B, which is one-way valve, a clapet de B. And you can see the little picture there, you can see it looks like a little one-way valve. Okay, this isn't called a pump economy jet. What has happened here? Something has happened. In this early stuff, it's correct. Let's get my really early carburetor and let's have a look what's down where 35 should be, what should be the clapet de B, and we found on this sheet where we've put in on this carburetor, we put in this pump economy jet. Let's see what's inside this one, and this should help answer this issue. So peeps, this is where that clapet de B, or what it says later should be a pump economy jet. Let's have a look in here. This is my super early 1946 carburetor before something went wrong. Now I haven't opened this before. If this has got a pump economy jet in here, I'm in big trouble. But if it's got a little one-way valve, then we're cooking with gas. So let's have a look. Now, there's something else about this that I know it will already have. We know this will be an original one if it has glass, if the little ball bearing in the one-way valve is glass, because at the end of the war, they didn't have any ball bearings. We'd blown all the production of ball bearings up in Germany on the continent. So instead of using metal, steel ball bearings, they use glass ones. So we can say it's an original to this jet. Now, you ready? This is the big reveal. I haven't looked in here, I'm not joking. So if this is a pump economy jet and not a one-way valve, I'm in big trouble and I'm gonna have to trash this video, right? Oh, yes, yes, yes. There it is, look. There's a little glass bead in there. There's a sieve. Look, my hands are shaking because I was worried I'm going to get it wrong. There's a sieve. Fuel comes in here, gets blown up here, can't go back down it. That is a one-way valve like it should be. That is not a pump economy jet. Now, let's have a look what's inside the 32 PBIC that I put in this Jeep, which is what that piece of paper says you should be putting in there, which is what it says. If we look, let's go on Jeep Sud-Est's webpage, you can see, if you look at that 35, they provide you with a pump economy jet, not a one-way valve. If we look on the M201 website, they say it should be a pump economy jet. GU is the name of the pump economy jet. That's its number, or should I say its identification letters, GU. He says it should be a pump economy jet and not a clapet de B, not a one-way valve. And then if you buy a reproduction kit, it will come with a pump economy jet and not a one-way valve. So everybody, the experts, the restorers, the reproduction suppliers, they all reckon it should be a pump economy jet. And yet in my hand here, with the earliest 32 PBIC and this paperwork here, we can see where it says as Clapet de B, we have a one-way valve. So let's have a look inside here and see what we find. Okay peeps, this is where it becomes a joint venture. At home you can do this if you've got one of these as well. I want you to tell me in the comments if you take your pump economy jet slash one-way valve out the bottom. You don't need to take the carb off or anything like that. You just need your 12mm spanner, unscrew it. It'll piss all the fuel out the bowl, out the bottom of it, which is great. It's just what you need. So just be ready for that. And then let's drop this out. Now this will be, because I built this one according to that data sheet, I built this with what it came with, what all the reproduction kits come with, what it says you should be in here with this. The GU, the 1110 GU, the pump economy jet. We're going to put in what I think should be in there now, which is the one-way valve. And this came from the, oh shoot, nearly. We're going to put in a one-way valve. This came from the Chinese carburetor, would you believe? So for somehow the Chinese blooming got it right. God only knows. But they actually got that correct. Everyone else seems to have got it wrong. Let's load this up without dropping it. And let's see how it runs with what should be in there as opposed to what everybody's been putting in, it would appear, for the past 50 years. So let's do it.
Right, should we try that same check again? We've got the same place with this little incline. Let's see if it tries to die or not. Seems to take it quite nicely. Right, we'll go forward up the slight incline. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. That's the difference, having that little one-way valve. That's the difference between you pulling your hair out for years, wondering why your your Solex carburetor doesn't work properly. Nice. Let's go drive it. Right, shall we see how it drives then? We're looking for it trying to die or drop off when we change gears, when we're slowing down and things like that, and we're looking for it, how it pulls away as well. So let's just see. Good draw. Right, straight on. No hesitation. And if I flip it, see? Instantaneous. When you just flip it in second gear, that's when you're looking for if it's going to pick up. Let's try again. So another draw. Hear the wheel slipping. Straight on with the power. Straight on with the power. So what happened then, Jeeps? How can this have gone from being a Jeep which wasn't working correctly, which would have had you pulling your hair out, would have been stalling at parades and things like that, just generally annoying you, so you'd want to chuck one of these out of it and put a carter back into it? The simple answer is at some point somebody made a mistake. If we look at this sheet, this Solex sheet, which I think is from the 80s when they moved to India, if we look on the back you can see it says India. There's been a transcription error somehow. Somehow they've got it incorrect between the Clapet de B, the one-way valve, and putting in an economy jet. And you'll say, well, what is an economy jet? Well, different Solexes have different accelerator pumps. This one is a BIP, and you can see this is an economy jet here. It's just something to help when you're doing part throttle operation. That's the economy jet there. That there is the one-way valve. Somehow somebody's transcribed it incorrectly and they've screwed the whole thing up. Now, was it the French? Did the French do it before it got to India? I do not know, I can't say. Were the French army using these with the incorrect jet in the wrong place? Difficult to say. I don't have enough information. I want you to give me that information. If you know that information, if you have the M201 tech manuals, if you can show me whether it says GU or C1 or CI, whatever it is, Clapet de B, in where this should be or not. If you've got that information, let me know. Let me also know in the comments if you take yours out whether you've got the 110 GU or you've got the correct one-way valve in there. I'd be really interested to know, because you might be able to revolutionize how your Jeep operates and you'll be able to get so much more enjoyment out of it. So that's it, peeps, then. The incredible story of how a simple error has caused so much misery for so many people with this little carburetor, and how so many people have got it wrong for so long. But now we should be able to recover the reputation of this carburettor and get it working properly for everyone. Because there will be loads of you out there who have got this carburettor running correctly with the one-way valve in there. It just seems at some point this mistake was made and it's being carried on, pushed forward to the reproduction people, the people making the new jets, the people who are selling you the parts, and the people who are restoring them. They haven't noticed this error, but guess what? Greendot 319 has for you, and you don't need to worry anymore. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed, subscribe and like, and I'll see you next time.